Welcome to the May 15th, 2024 Parks Advisory Committee meeting. Jonah, if you could do roll call.
All right, thank you. Carol Allen.
Here.
Brenda Austin is here. Your mic might be muted, but hi, Brenda.
Yeah, she waved.
Jeff Hutchinson.
Here.
Zach Andrews may come in a little late, but is absent at the moment. Shelley Reynolds.
Yep.
Victoria Rizzo.
Here.
Shirley Winters.
Here.
Robbie Cantrell.
Here.
Jim Mill.
Here.
Michelle Craver. There's somebody waiting here. I don't think it's Michelle, but I'm just. Michelle Craver appears to be absent. And myself, Jonah Jacobson, is here representing staff. And call the meeting to order.
Yeah, we're going to review and approve the March minutes. Take a look at it real quick, and if there's any corrections. I was amazed at how much we discussed last time. There's a lot of pages there.
This is Robbie, I have no changes.
Yeah, this is Jeff. Took a look. I didn't see any changes. Is everybody pretty much done reviewing that? You could get a motion to approve the March minutes.
This is Robbie, I move to approve the March minutes.
Any seconds?
I'll second.
Victoria, second. All approve?
Aye.
All who disapprove? Okay, the March minutes have been accepted. Next up is communication from staff.
Well, it's nice to see you all again. Thank you for being here today. And as you can see out there, the sun is shining. It's beautiful in Troutdale. If you've been to any Troutdale parks recently, you'll see that we're hard at work with our vegetation management programs. We just this week have onboarded our seasonal staff, and I'm really excited about our seasonals this year. We've kind of our seasonals this year are kind of not that it matters at all in any hiring decisions, but they are trending towards a bit more mature, which is refreshing for me. It's people who have a little bit more both work experience and life experience, and that's but in any case not relevant to our hiring decisions in any way. But and so some things that we discussed last time we met have come and passed. Our April 20th Earth Day event at Columbia Park was a huge success. We had a very excellent volunteer turnout of a little under 50 people, and so we got a huge amount accomplished. It was another beautiful sunny day, and it was just a really good experience out there, seeing everybody enjoying themselves and participating in some both park maintenance and improvement. And we got a lot of beautiful plants in the ground in the Columbia Park Woods area. A lot of native plants that I think are both beautiful and support native insect and bird biodiversity in those woods. So and in other news on the facility side, we also have hired a new in-house full-time custodian to clean our city buildings. Forgive me, I'm not sure if I mentioned that we had a bit of an issue a few months ago, a security issue with our former contractor who was providing our security services. And kind of in response to that, we had to accelerate the process of moving our cleaning services in-house with our own full-time employee. That was a decision that was made quite a while ago, close to 2 years ago at this point, and that FTE has been in the budget for multiple budget cycles. But we just now this week have gotten around to well, not this week hiring, but this week we are onboarding that person. And so that's very exciting. And it's been a difficult period of time as we've been adapting to the sudden change of having to move away from the contractor that we were using in response to a security issue with some of their employees. So, I'm very excited about the selection that we made for that position as well. I think that person will do very well here, and I think it's a positive, beneficial thing for both for the city and for that person. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, that's you may also have noticed actually just today we received our hanging basket order for the downtown baskets. So we just got out and hung all of the petunia hanging baskets on the light poles downtown, and so downtown's looking a bit more colorful today, which is exciting. And moving back to parks, I guess the sports seasons are very active out there at the moment. We did see in the last few weeks the beginning of the soccer season with multiple clubs using the Columbia Park soccer field, Doust Field, and as well as the ongoing season with East County Little League. We did make some ADA improvements in the past few weeks to one of the ball fields at Columbia Park at the request of East County Little League. I guess there's some kids on the challengers teams that use wheelchairs and were having a hard time getting out of the dugout and onto the field with their teammates because of the width of the gate there. So we added additional 4-foot gates on both dugouts so that those kids can go out to the field with their teammates rather than having to go all the way around. So, and other than that, things are pretty much business as usual in parks. We are gearing up for a very busy season at Glenn Otto Park currently. Things are ramping up with the warm weather, and certainly a reminder to everybody that the water temperatures are still quite cold. And the lifeguards, the AMR lifeguards are not yet on duty there. They will be in the next few weeks. So everybody please be careful and safe and use common sense around the river right now. So that's about it for communication from staff from me, but we have quite a bit more communication from staff coming from Molly King here momentarily.
Real quick, anybody have any questions for Jonah?
Yes. Regarding the woods area back there, was that all cleaned out? Because I was told by vice principal this week at the safety committee that kids are going back there, they're getting high, they're having sex. There's a sex bench back there. Did you see that?
No, I'm not aware of the sex bench.
So it's deep in that part of the woods area outside of the dog park. And so D. Archie was supposed to get a hold of you regarding clearing that out, because when it's not clear, kids go back there and they do their thing.
Sounds good. Well, yeah, we can. I'll be listening closely for that communication from Mr. Archie, I guess I'd be happy to be in closer contact with the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office school resource officers that work up there. I do see them around frequently, but as in many years past, that portion of the woods is not maintained as much as the rest of Columbia Park is. So I appreciate the tip, and I will certainly instruct my staff to wear gloves when they go clean up the bench.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anybody else on Zoom that has any comments or questions?
Hi, I have a question. Can you
Yes.
hear me? Okay.
Yes.
My name's Tiffany Long. I'm curious how the decision-making process happens for Earth Day, where, like, when and how you guys decide what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. Because while I think it's super great that you guys planted native plants, and I didn't participate in it this year. Uh, I did participate in the year before. I realized Jonah wasn't around then. It was at Helen Athos, and it was really disorganized that year. There wasn't. It didn't feel like there was much planning that went into it, and I was. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Surprised that you planted new plants and trees inside the dog park because the dogs dig them up. And if anything needs to happen in the dog park, stuff need to be taken out of there, not more stuff put in. And they put up these little tiny baby fences that my dog jumped right over and people throw balls into by accident. I mean, I thought the point of the dog park was to have it open for the dogs to run and frolic and do whatever they please. And now it seems like there's all these new plants in there and we have to be careful. And I've only been there a handful of times since Earth Day, but I was just curious how that planning came about.
Well, it was my decision to plant those plants in the dog park, and actually it was the response to the removal of a huge amount of trees and vegetation in the process of clearing that area to put the dog park in. I felt it necessary to replace some of that vegetation. The little tiny baby fences that you refer to are not permanent. They're only there to allow those plants to get established since they are new. Once they're established, those fences will be removed. And they're there not so much to stop dogs, but hopefully to suggest to their owners that maybe they shouldn't be lobbing balls into that area to let the dogs chase after them in there. It is as much a suggestion of a barrier as it is an actual barrier. So, so to answer your question, that fence will be removed at probably the end of the summer, once those plants have had a chance to take root and take off, hopefully. So, and as far as the question about the organization of the event, that event historically for a number of years, going back long past my time in the city of Troutdale, that event has been sort of a project that is headed off by one of my parks workers. It was a parks worker 3 who has been here for quite a few years. And so the general strategy behind the event is to kind of rotate the event on a year-by-year basis from one park to another park, and so that we can, sort of share the benefit of a large one-day volunteer event with many different parks. So sorry you had a bad experience at Helen Althouse and felt that it was disorganized, but hopefully this year, was an improvement on the last. So.
I hope that it was. I wasn't able to make it this year. One other question about the dog park. Is there a plan for water? I mean, I know there's the cooler, but as the weather gets hotter, the dogs drink it faster. And usually by Saturday or Sunday, it's empty. I'm just curious, is there a plan to get water in there?
There is a specific budget allocation for continued improvements and well, not improvements, but finishing the dog park installation and that budget allocation. The primary purpose of that is to plumb in a water line and create a water station for both dogs and people. So yes, that is planned in the coming fiscal year.
Okay, and then between now and when that happens, is there a possibility of making a hose available from the city place, like even just on the weekends, so that the people that use the dog park can refill that I don't know what you call it. It's like a dispenser, a cooler dispenser. Would that be a possibility?
It would be a possibility, however, given the activities going on in the Columbia Woods right next door.
Yeah, right.
I would hesitate to put a hose out there with open access to the public. So,
Okay.
when until we get a water station, we'll do our best to refill the cooler that's out there, and if that isn't sufficient, I would recommend maybe bringing a water bottle for your dog.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. Anyone else have any comments or questions? Okay, let's move on the agenda. We're going to have Molly King, who is the Recreation Program Manager for the City of Troutdale, is going to give us updates. Yeah, thanks, Molly.
Molly, I have your PowerPoint.
Oh, great. That'll be fun to show. Hi, everyone. It's good to be here. So the PowerPoint that Jonah's putting up is the one that I showed at the budget meeting. So it's just a nice variety of slides, and so it'll just really share kind of what's going on. You can visually see. There's our nice logo. I love what they came up with for the city. Next slide, please. Oh.
It's making this thing go away.
Or is there a clicker? Can I click?
Oh, if you just say slide, I will
Okay,
give you the next
let's
slide.
do it. Sounds good. If it goes.
Oh, sorry.
It could happen.
minutes.
Okay, so right here is a great couple images of our kinder dance, oops, it went back. Anyway, we have youth dance and youth yoga, and so it's been a program in the city for like 20 years at least, which is kind of neat. It's down at the Sam Cox building, you can see. So it's just one of our staples we have. I kind of call it one of our bread and butter programs, and just lots of kids come through. It's ages 2 to 9. And next slide, please. This is another one of our bread and butter programs, yoga right next door here at the CCB. Very popular programs, full with wait lists. We have a couple different programs, one more active than the other with a little bit more of chair seated. Wide variety of people that come and take, and some of the people have been with us for years. It's kind of a fun social environment. We just had a lady who is moving to Albany, and she's been with us for like 12 years or maybe even 14, and started with the instructor, and so people have really gotten to know each other. She actually went through cancer, and people supported her through that. So just a really neat community program, very special. Okay, this is a wonderful program. It's too bad Zach isn't here because he brings his kid to this program, and this is our play park program. It is a staple program for many recreation departments. I've worked at a variety of locations, and this is always available for indoor with our Oregon weather, so much rain throughout the year. So this way it's birth to 4 and their caregiver, they can come and play, run around, you know, and the library will come sometimes and partner with us. It's a great place to have resources. It's just it can be a lot. So we've run it with volunteers a lot in the past, and then COVID, you know, completely tanked. It's like the last program to come back because it's already a germ fest, you know, so to speak. So anyway, as it came back, we offered it like once a month. It really needs to be weekly, and so I'm really excited to say I'll share a little bit more on that, but it's going to become weekly, which is great. So anyway, just a super fun program down at Sam Cox. Next slide. This is a community walk program. I've tried a few programs over the years. This is really popular, just a free community walk. In fact, we have, just pass these around. This is coming up a week from tonight. Right here, we're gonna meet at Mayor Square. Another staff person for the city. She works in planning, community development. Chris Ann, she's gonna be running this with me, and we're just really excited. We're gonna meet at Mayor Square and head down to over the bridge, just on the other side of the river down there. So it should be really fun. She's gonna do a little bit of historical information along the way, and anyway, it should just be a lot of fun. It's free. So next slide. This is a partnership we have with Oregon State University, their Master Gardener program. So they have free instructors that come. We offer it for free. We do the registration. These people are amazing. Like they just, and I will say most programs we offer, like drop-ins are a little different. Well, Play Park's $2 per kid, but like that community walk is free. A lot of programs that are free, sometimes like they don't seem to hold value, so people don't, like if they pre-register, they may not show up because I didn't pay anything. Okay, this program, people show up. We'll get like 20 people, 40 people coming. It's just a wealth of information. These people love what they do, have done it for years, and so it's just really special to offer this kind of a program. This is a weekend program, so it's really a fun new one to do. Next slide. Okay, we have camp, and so camp has been an evolution over the years. I've tried different things. We've had in-house, we've used contractors, and I always think, okay, I think I've got it this year. And so anyway, this year we're gonna try, this is a big deal, because we haven't had an in-house camp for at least 10 years, and we are going back to an in-house camp. So it is 1 week, it's 4 days, it's a half a day, but it's a big deal. And there's a lot of planning that goes into it when you do it in-house versus working with a contractor. Because it's all of our own staff, all of our own curriculum, all of our own supplies, on and on and on. Super, super excited. It's just gonna be a lot of fun. The camp is full, it's for ages 6 to 9. It's gonna be down at Glenn Otto and Sam Cox. So it's called Wilderness Wonder Camp. So we're super excited, see how it goes. We're like designing the t-shirt. I mean, it's just, all things camp are so fun. We're gonna do songs, it's just gonna be great. So then we'll see how it kind of goes and then hopefully start expanding from there. Next slide. Okay, movies in the park. This is like the coolest program. We actually just met today. This week was like movie week. I've had so much, like all these things are swirling, you know, these annual events, and then they come together and they just start shooting forward. So this was like the week for me. A couple really big meetings where we have actually almost confirmed our movie selections, which is super fun to just, I mean, I've watched so many previews, but you know, it's really fun, and it's fun to kind of put them together. Met with Jonah and his team today just about the actual park and some of the different logistics. So there's lots of things that go on. This year we got approved for a 3rd movie night, which is great. It's not 100% official yet, but looking good. So we've got the last Friday of July, which is July 26th, the 3rd Friday of August, the 16th, that's what we did last year, and then we're adding August 23rd. A lot of thought goes into these dates because of other events going on in the area, our first Fridays that go on, the daylight, I mean, there's so many factors that go into coming up with this. So there's stuff in Gresham, Fairview, you know, on and on. The 23rd is a new date, and it will be, like, most people are done with their movie programs by then, so I think it'll be kind of exciting to see what the turnout is. They are very popular. This one, I think on the right, was during Sandlot. Just a lot of parents coming with their kids, so we tried to really tailor some of that. Yeah, anyway, we have 2 shows a night because we have the LED video wall, so we can show it in daylight. We just need shade. So we have 6:30 and 8:30. So food vendors, kids activities. It's just a super special event for Troutdale, and it's pretty unique with the LED wall and how we do it. And we do it in the ball field at Columbia. So, okay, next slide. Oh, here's another movie program we do in the winter. We do it right during the holiday season. We do it at Reynolds High School. So different type of a venue, regular screen. We have arts and crafts. We have goodies, things like that. So it's just been really sweet and fun. And we show like usually a little short and then a little bit longer holiday film, all free. And the other one was all free. The one at the park, we charge for the vendors, food vendors you can purchase, but we try to have free popcorn. Okay, next slide. This is at First Friday. We have our Little Trout Kids Zone. We have a rec booth, and then we have other sponsors that come and provide different things for kids to do while, it's not a drop-off zone, so they're with their parents or caregivers as well, but as people are wandering through the whole downtown, it's just a nice add to the big First Friday program, which is Marley. So this is my section of First Friday. Next slide. This is a one-shot event we do in the summer. It's called Arts and Craft Time. We do it out in the park. It's free. Just set up a bunch of arts and crafts and people can grab them and we have different demos you can set up. And so it's just to come and grab and create, and it's just a really sweet, simple but nice event. Next slide. And my last one on those little events, this is a winter one. I tried this a couple years ago and it was such a hit. It's growing, and so that's kind of exciting. I might do something more with it this year. This is where you come in It's called Make a Gift, so it's during the holidays, and you can just, it's a more kid-type craft thing, but anyone can come. So you can make a gift, you can wrap it, and then take it with you. I have to say, this last one, there was this family there, and, well, there was a gift left over, like, you know, and I didn't, it's a drop-in, I mean, I have some sign-ins, but I didn't know who, I didn't know if I'd call everybody on the list, did your kid leave, a gift, and I just thought, oh, and I actually thought, well, maybe it's this one really big family, I could eliminate a few, and I called, and it was for that family. And she was so grateful because her daughter had been so sad that she had left it accidentally. So anyway, I reunited the gift with the family. So I was so thankful because I was like, oh, they left the gift, So anyway, it's just a sweet way to do something, again, all free. And they have just really loved it. When my stepdaughter was really young, my husband took her to one through Portland Parks at Montevilla, and it was actually like where you would actually drop off the kid who would kind of go through with a staff person, and then they create it, and come back through. So anyway, I kind of got the idea from that. Next slide. Well, I think this is the last slide. So another just glorious picture of movies in the park. It's really just a highlight for us. This is where we showed it the first few years. So this is the area right next to the ball field, kind of in between the bathrooms and the ball field. Now this area is full of kids' activities and like food vendors for as you come into the park for movies in the park. So that's happening. The other thing I wanted to just share about the budget is that I had requested a half-time FTE, full-time employee for recreation, and that looks like it's going through. So I'm very excited with that position, hence the play park will be weekly. That will be like boots on the ground. That person will be running that program, which is great. They'll learn everything that I'm doing so they can back me up in case I'm sick or whatever it is. We'll just have more community, everything. It'll be great to just learn all the back end things, the administrative, all that. And then events. I mean, that's really a big, huge piece of it. They'll be coming in and really working with all of the different events to help support the whole program, more than just the rec-specific events. First Fridays, music, I can't remember all the words. So anyway, so super excited that person's gonna be coming on board, and I just gotta get them hired and get them going. So they will be here at some point. Okay, I think that's most of what I wanted to share. I'd love to answer any questions or share anything else you're interested about.
Anyone have any questions, comments?
You're doing a wonderful job.
Oh,
Yep.
I appreciate that. It's a team of people. I mean, I do work by myself to some degree, but I work
Hey,
with
John,
a team of
can you go
people
back to the Zoom?
to help me get to where we are. So thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah, we do partner a lot.
Molly, you have that camp program that's at Glenn Otto?
Yeah.
Correct. What are the age?
That
So
one,
the-
the wilderness camp, is going to be 6 to 9.
And how many kids roughly?
So 16. So we're starting, we have a few on the wait list, and this was an experiment I did because I made it pretty affordable in the world of camp. And residents are always less than non-residents, but I actually used the registration system to do a delay in registration. So for a week, it was only open to residents, because I wanted to make sure they had first opportunities, which was great.
I was just wondering, in the future, did you ever consider the possibility, like, towards the end of that program, having an overnight?
Oh.
Like, or are you gonna do that this year, or is that something you thought about?
No,
Okay.
that's like a whole nother level of,
Would that have to be kids a little bit more older, maybe?
that, and just, I have not actually personally ever run those. I've had my kids go to overnight camps.
Right.
I've been a part of those to some degree, and that's like, I don't know, going from like 1 to 100 versus like 1 to 20, like with a day camp, because you just get
I was thinking you could
into,
have maybe some of the parents volunteer to be chaperones and camp out with the
Maybe.
kids. You have to have parents there, obviously.
yeah, I mean, it could end up being like a parent-child program, like if the parents stayed with their
Right.
kids, that'd be a whole different type of a thing.
That'd be really neat to have a fire there, you know.
Well, and it's interesting because there is no overnight camping at Glen Otto.
Right, you have to get
But I had
permission.
wondered about that. That did come up once because we had actually talked about we're gonna do like a learn how to camp, like bring your, whatever. And
Right.
it was like, well, could we do it and have a camp out and, do the
In a very controlled
s'mores
setting,
and-
too.
Yeah, and so that was, but I never got that far. But yeah, I thought, well, maybe they would give the exception for a night like that. But those are good, that is a whole kind of a big step past a day camp, but definitely something to consider.
Is there anyone on Zoom that has any questions, comments? No? Okay, we're good.
Oh,
Thank-
hold on.
Well-
I heard-
Yep. Carol had her hand up. I don't know if that was left.
Oh, Carol, go ahead.
Before, but Carol, I go first.
Okay, I just wanted to say, Molly, you're doing a great job. I've seen it over the last few years and it just seems to get better and better. I know the high school kids and families really love the movie and they always look forward to it over there every single year.
Good. Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate that.
Adrian?
Yeah, I think we had spoken at one point, this is probably sometime last summer, but I had expressed willingness to if there was any interest in running some sort of family board game night.
Yeah.
I am still willing to do that, and to assist with that if and have a number of contacts, just myself and with a couple other related organizations that could definitely contribute to such an event.
Yeah.
If that's something that is of interest to recreation.
Yeah, we can figure out how to connect. I did just have some notes. I had reached out to you and hadn't heard back, so it's nice to hear you're still
Okay.
interested. Not sure what-
I might have missed that contact entirely. So if you did reach out and I did not respond, I sincerely apologize.
Okay. It's okay. I can reach out again and we can go from there. That'd be great.
All right, cool.
Do I talk to here? I'm not sure. Which screen do I look at? So, good, okay. Yeah, right, okay. Okay, so Adrian, let me make a note to email. Great, thank you. Okay, well, again, I work with a team of people, Jonah, one of the main people on the park staff, and just throughout the whole city hall. I mean, on and on and on. It's really a village that creates this program, so it's really fun, and I love working for the city. I've been here 14 years this summer and 29 years in the field, so it's just been a really great career. I'm thankful, so thank you.
Thanks, Molly,
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you. Molly.
Congratulations on the new person as well.
Yes.
I know it's a big relief.
So excited, so.
Say it again, it's what do you say, a half?
So it's a half-time, so the person will be a 20-hour-a-week permanent benefited position. So we haven't had that. I was kind of doing some research with the position, and maybe way back then, the actual department started in '97, and I think it started with 1 FTE. And I believe they had a half-time person on, but I'm not sure what the status was, so it was about 1.5, but I'm not sure of the status of the second person. And then it went down to 1, then it went down to 0.5, and then I came on, I was 0.75, now I'm 1 point. Anyway, so now we're gonna go to 1 point. Anyway, so it's kind of cool, we're growing, we're ready to grow. Yeah, do more things.
Thank
All
you
right.
for all
Thank-
you
thank
do,
you.
Molly.
I
Appreciate
might listen for a few more minutes and then I might slip out.
Yeah, the next item on the agenda is very interesting. Okay, next item is review of the 2024-25 budget approval process and its effects on planned parks, facilities, improvements, and projects in the coming year. And I'll turn that over to Jonah.
All right, well, actually, this, I don't know how long of a conversation this will be. I don't have a lot to say about it. I think as probably all of you know, and are aware of it at this point, that the 24-25 fiscal year budget approval process was, primarily centered around the need to, the discussion was primarily centered around the need to sort of hold in reserve a large sum of money as we wait to see what happens with the next year's police and fire contracts. And I just want to say I certainly understand the logic behind the decisions that were made around that. Those are essential services that keep our community safe and livable, and I 100% understand the apprehension and nervousness surrounding big unknowns around what's gonna happen with those contracts next year. I think that, you know, I can certainly speak to what that decision means for the coming year for parks and facilities. However, if there's anything to be said about the budget committee's process in those decisions, I would turn it over to you, Victoria, if you'd like to say anything about that process since you were seated on that committee.
Yeah, we had to do some cuts to make sure because that contract is gonna probably really increase. We're looking at some alternatives, but we needed a backup plan. So we sort of put the skate park on hold and the Beaver Creek improvements on hold. We're still trying to get the grant for the bridge. That's still in there. We did get to keep the full-time person for parks that we're adding, and I totally agree, we need it. I mean, there's a lot of work taking care of the parks. It was really, I said it was very conflicting for me to have to cut some of the things out of the budget, but it was really necessary. And we do realize that when we try, if everything goes great with the contracts, we can put them back in. And everybody was pretty agreeable, and we do realize it'll probably be a little more expensive when we do put them back in, but we felt it was really necessary at this time.
This is Jeff. Victoria, do you know when those contracts expire, or when's gonna be the deadline?
The next year, June of 25.
Okay,
Yeah,
All right, so there's a lot of time
the
to-
fiscal year, yeah, next.
okay.
So, and it's a big process, and we're trying to work with other cities and things, so.
Yeah, I watched that meeting and I agree. I mean, you gotta have that money accessible for police contract and fire. I heard there's a possibility of maybe starting a fire district,
Yeah,
which would mean we would have to build a firehouse or something, if I understand right.
well, there is Fire District 10 already, and we were thinking of maybe going in, but we're gonna have to probably get Wood Village, Fairview, and Gresham now to go in. And I heard the fire department of Gresham is very much for that. But that's a big process too, because then we have to get every city to have it on their ballot.
Right,
to
they have to be
approve it.
in with it.
Yeah, so that's 4 cities, so that's something we're looking at. There's a lot of things we're still, but you know, a year goes by really quick. And this was just keeping some extra money, just in case.
Right,
And we're also waiting for the May election to see what happens with Gresham. Because they have it on the ballot to improve fire and police,
okay.
so.
Right, thanks, Victoria.
Thank you, Victoria.
Anybody have any questions, comments?
I have a few additional things actually.
Okay, yeah, go, Jeff.
Jeff. So, I agree, Victoria, I was extremely relieved, that first of all, I was, momentarily terrified when the discussion turned to the FTE. And perhaps maybe there was, some lack of clarity around that FTE. That is not a new FTE that would be in the 24-25 budget. That is a person that we hired last fall who was a seasonal employee for the last 3 summers. Born and raised Troutdale native, by the way, who is very good at his job and is very happy to have a job in parks. And so it would have been absolutely tragic for me to tell that person that they no longer had a job. And so I'm very relieved that that didn't happen. The addition of that FTE was brought before the city council in the fall last year. So that was not a surprise, or should not have been a surprise. But I feel like maybe in the discussion there was maybe some lack of clarity around that. That's a person who currently works for Troutdale Parks. not some hypothetical person in the future, so. While I do, I do completely understand, the need to reserve money in the general fund, there were more projects than what you mentioned.
Yeah, I was just doing them off the top of my head.
I mean, this is a rough ballpark number, but it was somewhere between 75 to 95% of the capital outlay projects for parks. So, that it was most of the parks projects. They're very, closer to 95% by dollar amount, maybe closer to 75% by, by line item. Anyway, that is fine. That is the decision that the committee made. I understand and accept that decision. I just want to make sure that everybody in this room understands that means that those projects will not be happening this year. They were, not all of them were going to happen in the first place. Perhaps maybe there was some lack of clarity around that as well, that, these things are in the budget every year, that we don't do 100% of all of them every year. And so, not all of them were going to happen, but now all of them are not going to happen. So, so that is the decision that the committee made. I accept it. I just want to make sure that that is understood by everybody in this room, that there's a lot of things that we've talked about over the last year that are on the back burner for the foreseeable future. So,
This is Robbie. If it's 95%, could you give us the 5% that are going through?
well, we did keep the sun sails for
Okay.
Imagination Station. There was a grossly reduced amount that was kept in for improvement of the surface at Imagination Station. I'll be honest, that number is not sufficient. I worry that spending that money on repairing patches will ultimately mean that a few years down the road we will be ripping those patches that we spent $50,000 on out to completely resurface it. But we will do what we can with the money that was allocated for that. There was a last minute addition to the parks budget of $50,000 for contract security services at Glenn Otto Park and Columbia Park. That is something that I did earlier in the year, request an estimate for and a proposal from one contract security company. Unfortunately, the window to get that contract with them closed only a couple of weeks before that meeting where we added that. They had reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to proceed with that for the summer. And at that point, the answer was no, but then that changed after that last round of budget committee meetings. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to get, I'm not sure if we'll be able to get that, I know we won't be able to get that company, but we may be able to get another contract service, security service for this summer. But that may be something that we're looking at the summer of 25, so.
Sharon?
This is not exactly related, but since stuff got cut and things need to be done, is there any way to go about, like maybe doing something at Imagination Station that would involve the community putting in the labor effort to be able to do any type of help?
Unfortunately, no. I think that would be unwise given the history of the failure of the previous surface. I think that we would be much better off going with a contractor who offers a warranty and somebody that we can hold to account if there's an issue. If a few years later, after we have the volunteer installed surface that failed, then we're going to need to ask volunteers to come and rip it out and do it again. And I think at this point, I know that the number, the dollar figure for doing that is unpalatable, and compared to what we spent on building the play structure 15 years ago or 10 years ago, the number is shocking, similar to our discussion with the Beaver Creek Bridge, right? But in today's money, that is what it costs, and in my mind, that cost pales in comparison to a lawsuit over a serious injury. So
I only mention that because that park's origin started off with a huge amount of volunteer effort coming and constructing it to start with. And just thinking that maybe there'd be a buy-in with that kind of thing, but I can appreciate it.
It's a great idea, and I would love to involve volunteers in any amount of work that we can. I just think that something on that scale, I think it, would be worth having, a contract and warranty for.
This is Jeff. I have a question. I didn't realize that, and Victoria just mentioned that the Beaver Creek trail restoration was suspended.
Yes.
So my question is, I know Trail Keepers was working with you in your shop and everything. Is Trail Keepers, as of right now, suspended, or are they finishing up something that's already started?
No, we're still completing the project that was funded in the current fiscal year budget.
Okay.
I was planning on having another phase of that project that we won't be doing. There is still something that actually community buy-in would be very helpful with. It would be something like rebuilding the aging and rotting boardwalk that's at the bottom of the stairs there.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually my next planned project with Trail Keepers is rebuilding that boardwalk. That's another area that concerns me about somebody potentially being injured on. And so it's in need of some attention at some point in the future.
But that boardwalk's gonna have to be in the future, because it's not gonna be for the next 2 years.
We will not be doing that in the next year.
Next year, I mean, yeah. Okay, thank you. Anybody on Zoom have any questions, comments?
Yeah, I do. I thought the budget approved money for the Beaver Creek Canyon repairs. I thought they budgeted like $40,000 for that.
I believe that was scrapped.
That was
Maybe.
cut,
I didn't know that.
That was cut?
yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. And then I'm hoping that when you repair the floor over at Imagination Station, that it's done well, because the person who did it originally did a crappy job, because within months it was already torn up, so it was not done as quality as he sold us on. And so and I know that you do good work anyway, Jonas, so I'm a little concerned about doing little repair things here and there, because if you put a square, you cut out a square and you put another square in, and you still have part of the older floor, that's gonna come up as well, right?
Yes, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I mean, we could spend $50,000 on doing patchwork on the thing. And in a few years' time, we may look at it and say, we need to rip the whole thing out. That $50,000 would have been much better used when combined with another $200,000 to completely resurface it. And so, that is kind of what we're looking at. I will do as directed by city management and what is suggested by this committee, and what is allocated in our budget. However, I would recommend a complete resurfacing of Imagination Station. Not a half.
I agree.
Thanks, Carol.
We didn't leave that in, I
No, there
remember,
was $50,000 was left in, but that number is not even close to the estimates that I got for.
because I
resurfacing.
remember making a statement about safety.
Yes, you did. That was left in, but originally that number was $100,000 in the budget.
Right.
But that $100,000 is not the number that I recommended. It's the estimates that I got to do it were closer to $200,000 to $250,000. That's what we're looking at, folks. I know nobody likes that number, but that's what it is. Now.
So Jonah, I'm sorry, this is Carol. I got a question. Didn't the budget committee approve the Beaver Creek North Bridge replacement for $350,000?
Yes, the bridge did stay in. However, the
Okay.
Beaver repairs is a separate allocation that would have been for the trail systems, rebuilding the rotting stairs and boardwalk.
Got it.
All right, anybody else? Ready to move on to the next item? Discussion of the need to establish a small enclosed dog rest area at Glenn Otto Park, as well as a request from Marley Boxler to allow leash dogs at Mayor Square and Depot Park to promote tourism, economic development, and city-sponsored events.
I know this is everyone's favorite topic. Believe me, I had no intention to continue the discussion around dogs in parks beyond what we have already talked about this year. However, staff feels pretty strongly, and I think I speak for both myself and for Public Works Director Travis Holden when I say this, that with the prohibition of dogs at Glenn Otto Park, we have set ourselves up for a bit of a concerning situation, given the popularity of the park with and the Sugar Pine restaurant. The Sugar Pine's own policies around dogs, which we do not have the ability to govern their policies on the part of the park that they rent from us. That is their business. And so we, as staff, have a concern that we may, in a situation with the heat in the summer, we may be setting ourselves up for a situation where some folks choose to leave their dogs in a hot car to go to the Sugar Pine or to go into the park, and that could potentially have some pretty sad outcomes. And so that's something that I've seen happen before, actually. This is something that I'm not asking for a vote from the committee on this tonight. I just want to kind of put this bug in everybody's ear about this idea that potentially we need to establish like a dog relief lawn area on the small grass area that would be fenced in. The small lawn area at Glen Otto Park that's adjacent to the lifeguard statue, between the lifeguard statue and the Sugar Pine, and with very clear signage that says no dogs on the beach right there next to it. I know that probably City Council is sick of talking about this. However, I think that there are just a few small tweaks that still need to be included in our dogs ordinance in order to get it to the point where it is effective and safe in Glen Otto Park, at least. The other parks that I mentioned in this agenda item, this is not something that came from either myself or from Public Works Director Travis Holden. This was a topic that was broached by Marley Boxler in relation to economic development, tourism, summer events, and the fact that when you've got a crowd of people enjoying First Friday, there are frequently dogs on a leash down there, and they go into Mayor Square because Mayor Square is an extension of the street, and so with our current municipal code around dogs that was updated this year after much discussion both in this committee and in City Council, Marley is concerned that we have a situation as well in Mayor Square and in Depot Park in downtown where we are potentially hobbling tourism and people wanting to walk downtown with their leashed pet and go into our small parks downtown. And so potentially Marley is going to discuss that issue with City Council in the future. But I just, I wanted to make mention of these things here first and foremost. So.
This is Jeff. Mayor Square has a dog fountain installed. So that's inviting dogs to come in and have a drink. I'm not sure, do they have a waste station set up there?
No.
Okay, but there is a dog fountain. Okay.
This is Shelley. I guess what I'd like to hear from you is, are you presenting this back to us for a recommendation? Because we made our recommendations to City Council, and I don't, to be honest, after watching the discussions around the code that was actually passed, I feel very fortunate to have gotten what we got, to be honest.
I agree. I am not asking for a recommendation, if that's, I mean, I'm opening the discussion to that, I suppose. I would not, I understand that nobody really wants to talk about this anymore. And believe me, this is, you know, I don't want to stand before city council and ask them to discuss this issue anymore this year. I feel very fortunate that we got the ordinance that we got, so I understand that sentiment. And so if we're gonna let it ride with what we got, then and if that's the decision of this committee, that we don't want to bring that to city council, then that is the decision. So.
Honestly, I'm happy to discuss it as long as I thought it would go anywhere. I'm just not convinced we're going to get any more compromises from city council on that. If the grass area is fenced around Sugar Pine for that rest area, I can see that happening. People leaving dogs in their car is absolutely criminal. And I guess I have to wonder why, if you know that there are no dogs in the park, why you would even think about doing that. But I think that grass area being fenced might actually be an option that would be considered. But I bet it would be pretty limited, and I think people, honestly, on First Fridays, certainly people are gonna walk their dogs wherever they want to, so.
This is Jeff. Yeah, I think on First Fridays, a lot of people are walking their dogs. And they're going down this public sidewalk. And Mayor's Square is right there. It's just right off the sidewalk. I think people have been walking their dog in there since day one. And whether there's an ordinance or not, it's not gonna change anything. It's just the realistic way it is, I think.
Yeah, I agree, and Marley's right. I mean, it does make it more dog friendly, especially for the tourists when we're trying to get the tourists in. And I also agree, why do people bring their dogs to Oxbow when they know you're not supposed to? But we also have tourists coming through. And I've even heard people from out of town talking about Sugar Pine, and they want to go to Sugar Pine. So that would also be, besides the ones that do bring their dogs that are regulars, it would also help with tourism too, because then they'd have a place to take. I just think the little fenced area for Glenn Otto and making sure we have waste stations and water stations at Depot, and I think it's a good idea. I really don't understand why city council would object to those. Especially when people are doing it anyway.
Right. It is a good idea in my mind. I wish that we, I mean, when the entire ordinance hinged upon Glenn Otto Park being, you know, the you know, sort of the deal breaker, you know, there was this moment where it was like, well, we could at this moment push for this small detail, or lose the whole thing if we do that. So so I feel like the best time would have been to include this in the original ordinance. Unfortunately, it was, you know, Glenn Otto became a bargaining chip, sort of,
Yeah.
so to speak, and so, you know, if this committee is not comfortable making that recommendation and continuing this discussion in city council, I 100% understand that. I personally don't want to continue that discussion with the city council. However, I also don't, I don't want to see somebody's dog boil in a hot car. So we can table this conversation until we see an acute need to bring it up related to, you know, an incident. But
Well, summer's coming up,
Right.
Summer's here.
It's the
In a
great,
way, it's been hot.
yeah.
I would recommend giving us the month to think about it, putting it on the agenda. Let's give, I don't know, certainly one meeting and setting out some parameters and seeing if we, as a group, can come to an agreement of what we think would be acceptable, and then decide as a group whether or not we want to present it to city council.
totally fair.
This is Sherry, and maybe, if the agenda gets out there soon enough, and maybe we could do some type of request from, the residents on, because if we've got some more people with opinions coming in and making a statement, it might speak a higher volume at some level to city council. I have one other question, I wonder. Is it possible that, it's not really gonna matter if you walk your dog in, Mayor Square and things like that, that's something that's never gonna get enforced anyway, but more like to hold the ordinance so that Glenn Otto Park is being more respected? I mean, could that be part of what's going on here? Or-
Certainly, yeah, I mean, at the moment, enforcement is not a piece of it. I will say that I, since the passage of the updated municipal code around domestic animals, I have been instructing my staff and myself actively talking to people who are violating those rules in places and informing them, hey, you have some better options now, but what you're doing right now is breaking the rules. So, and people are generally receptive to that, I think, so far. I haven't had any really negative interactions with anybody thus far, so hopefully that trend continues. But I would say the question of like, does it really matter if it's not being enforced in the first place? You know, that very question was asked in the last year, so, you know, more times than I can count about you know, the ordinance as a whole. And so, you know, and despite all that conversation, I guess I don't have the answer, you know? Despite all the time that we've all spent thinking about it, I know that, you know, when there's a law, and there's a certain environment where a thing isn't being enforced, it doesn't mean that's gonna be the way it is forever. And so I would hate to see you know, an environment at some point in the future, where somebody at First Friday is being written a ticket, for going down there and enjoying themselves and spending some money and hanging out.
This is Shelley. I think it also just, I mean, it just feels icky, right? I mean, you wanna walk your dog, you wanna be comfortable, but you don't wanna be breaking a law. It just feels icky, you feel unsupported, you feel like, you know, it's,
Like you shouldn't be there, you're unwelcome, right?
yeah, you're unwelcome.
Right.
Unwelcome is the perfect word.
And I think that is what Marley's point is about these downtown events, is that dog owners would feel unwelcome and therefore not come and not spend their dollars. And so,
For Glenn Otto Park, I know, but now we haven't budgeted for the security. So if you have a little fenced area for the dogs and those signs, no dogs beyond this point, no dogs in park or on beach, we have the security that will be able to enforce it.
that's an excellent point. And we could potentially tie those two things together, saying that one doesn't happen before the other, you know, or essentially that the dog area doesn't happen before the security.
Yeah.
Would security also be patrolling the parking lot to keep an eye on cars that have dogs in them?
Yes, yeah,
That
potentially,
would
yeah,
make
I
it-
mean, I would hope so, I would ask them to. And you know, this speaks to, I mean, really, this budget allocation was added, I think, you know, the discussion in my mind seemed to be more geared towards safety, public safety, which is an element of it. But I would say the enforcement of, as far as the need for enforcement of things at Glenn Otto goes, there's really three things. That's parking, dogs, alcohol.
Yeah.
The public safety aspect of it is in my mind, you know, there's sometimes isolated incidents of fistfights or you know, or somebody being drunk and belligerent or something like that. But on the daily, it's those three things. Parking is the big one. So, you know,
And then AMR handles the beach, so.
right.
Okay,
This is Jeff. I just want to, oh, Carol, go ahead, Carol.
okay, so here are my concerns. I'm a little frustrated that it keeps being brought back for us to change our minds regarding the park. I thought that we agreed that Glen Otto was going to remain a dog-free park. I think that once we open up a little area at Sugar Pine, those owners aren't going to stay there. They're going to go into the park because they do already. That's not going to change. And I don't understand it. I guess if you're a responsible dog owner, you're not going to take your dog to the park where it won't go, where there's a rule against it. So I don't quite understand why staff keeps changing things and bringing it back when we spent months and months and months on what we were doing to the parks and what parks were going to be dog parks and what parks were not going to be dog parks. Why does this keep coming back to us?
This is Jeff. Carol, we're trying to address the situation where patrons of Sugar Pine end up having to leave their dogs in their cars and trucks.
Well, then I'm sorry. I know I sound cruel. Then don't go to Sugar Pine. Don't bring your dog. I mean, my daughter comes to my house all the time with the dog. And if we're going to go anywhere, we leave the dog at home where a dog is not supposed to be. If there's a park that we can take Abby to, we take Abby to. But
Right, but Carol, people are out hiking and doing things during the day with their dogs, and then on the way home or whatever, they decide to stop at Sugar Pine, and they end up possibly having to park across the street and leave the dog in a hot truck or car.
I understand that. And Sugar Pine has really grown. And, you know, I think it's really overgrown where it's at. I think it would be in a better location where it can grow bigger and bigger. I mean, our little area is just small. And there are issues with parking. Like Jonas said, there are issues with dogs and there are issues with alcohol. And we knew when we approved the alcohol idea, I thought that it would stay at Sugar Pine, but no, it doesn't. It goes into Glen Otto Park. And then, you know, dogs aren't supposed to be on the beach. Summer, they're on the beach. So, you know, people aren't going to listen to the rules who don't want to listen to the rules.
I think, Carol, what Jonah was saying is there's gonna have security. There's going to be a security presence there that hasn't been there historically.
Well, that'll be good because I need something. And, you know, if they're at the park with the dog that's not supposed to be there, they need to be ticketed. I mean, I know I sound really gruff and like I hate dogs, but I don't.
I don't think you sound that way. I hear your point. And believe me, were it so simple that if people would just not do the things that they're not supposed to do in parks. I mean, if you know, if that were the case, I wouldn't have to go clean up that bench.
Right. Well, and the other thing is Sugar Pine knows Oxbow Park is no leash, but yet they advertise everywhere to bring your dog. So who's really not listening to the rules? Because they're not going to tell their customer, oh, you can't go to Glen Otto Park. Right?
You know, and this is something that I have discussed with you know, with city management and we don't you know, City of Troutdale does not own the Sugar Pine restaurant. They are their own independent business entity. They
Right,
are
but we do own the property.
The building,
our
though.
tenant, sure. but the way the current contract is written, that's just not something that, it sounds like, city management is gonna step in and make a decision on, for them, so,
Okay, this is Sherry. That was gonna sort of be my thing. I mean, do we have a lot of these problems because the Sugar Pine restaurant exists where it exists? I mean, because if that's the case and then that wasn't there, it might alleviate a ton of problems. I don't know that it would alleviate everybody from potentially going down that beach with a dog. There could still be somebody that shows up that way. I know when I went by on Mother's Day, it took forever because there were people waiting to turn into the lot and we just sat there. So, I mean, I can see that as being a safety issue.
Well,
You know.
I'm glad that Sugar Pine is growing. I have, no negative thought on that. I'm glad their business is growing, but maybe they've just outlived that little corner, right? So, of course, I'm not a city manager. I don't have anything to do with Sugar Pine, but you're right. It blocks traffic. It blocks parking. I mean, anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Takes away from events that are going on in Glenn Otto Park proper because they've taken up parking spots for their
Yep.
thing. And if you provide a little area for dogs to be, it could be that those that are supposed to only be there a shorter time are lingering longer just for the Sugar Pine restaurant. So I get it. It's sort of a.
I wouldn't say the Sugar Pine is the cause of these problems,
No.
but there is a perfect storm of contributing factors, and Sugar Pine is one of them. So,
It was, but it wasn't this messy when there was no alcohol. They had people that came through the drive-through. They had people that, because I went there. I would go through the drive-through. There was no issue. Once we allowed them to have alcohol, people stay.
good, they shouldn't drive their cars if they're good, yeah, I mean, that's good, if they're, if they're drinking, then they should stay, but.
Right.
I'm sorry, Jim, were you trying to say something?
It's Jim, I was only gonna ask when the lease is up for that.
The lease was just renewed this last year.
I think it's a 5-year lease too.
It's a
So,
5-year
so
lease.
in some ways, the city has done this to themselves by not
Oh, yeah.
putting together a good lease, right?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's accurate, I'm sorry to
I
say.
know that we spoke about coming back and talking in a month. I don't think that's a bad idea, but I don't think we solve it.
Yeah.
There's so many facets to this dog issue, and I don't think we're really serving our neighbors well by only focusing on Glen Otto. Personally, I think we have some parks that are large enough to have fenced dog runs so that people that are walking from their house a quarter mile down the street, right now, they're going in the parks. So there's a need. We should give them a place to let their dog actually run off leash inside the park. We have a great spot up there, but people are not putting their dogs in a car and driving to the big, down by the river or up here. I think there's more need than we have, and we're not gonna solve it by band-aiding this a bunch of times and then continuing to take it back to city council over and over. We're gonna frustrate them, and maybe this is something where we need to come up with an actual holistic solution that might take 6 months or a year, and just let it simmer, or not let it continue to simmer with city council, is my point.
I agree, I think it'll have the opposite effect, honestly, I think that even bringing it to them will be a flat out rejection at this point, I think that, and that's unfortunate, but, we have talked this issue till we're all blue in the face in the last year, and so, but this is, but there is this remaining, there's this remaining item of business, and so, I hear all of your points of view, and believe me, this is, the season, the busy season at Glen Otto Park is ramping up, tensions are already running high, between the caretaker and Sugar Pine staff over parking issues, over, availability of parking spaces for reserved, events at Sam Cox. And so, I don't expect us to be able to solve that issue this year. And so it's this seasonal issue that happens every single summer. And, personally, what I think would help the situation tremendously. This is something that people aren't gonna like. But spending some money on changing the traffic pattern in that parking lot, having an ingress and egress driveway, one way in, one way out, so the traffic flows only one direction, I think would help considerably with the everything getting as jammed up as it does right there at the mouth of the drive-through, getting out of the one driveway.
And what's preventing you from doing that?
Well, it would require a budget allocation. I mean, it would take some money. That parking lot needs resurfacing anyway, and restriping. There is actually, I mean, I can't say for certain right now, I guess. I would have to, I would have to talk to Public Works Streets. There would be a lot of stakeholders that would need to be involved in that. The county probably as well. But in my mind, that is a simple solution to reduce some of the headache that's happening there around parking. We've gone off on the parking issue now, which is totally separate from the dog issue. I mean, I understand it's all tied together, but.
This is John. I agree with the parking. A lot could be done with that lot to improve it. One final comment on the dog issue, down there especially, but perhaps in other parks. The signage does not tell our people that they can't have dogs there. There is a sign there, I was down there for the Easter event, and there was one sign that I noticed. At times I've gone there and there's been larger sandwich signs that have been placed out, probably by the caretakers.
Yes.
If we had larger signs that people actually could see, I suspect people walk by and don't realize. And on that Easter day, there was, like I say, there was a sign there, but at least 4 dogs that I saw in the park. And there were 100, probably 300 people in that park, maybe more.
Yep, that's something that following the city council decisions earlier this year and the updated domestic animals municipal code, that is something that I still need to get out there and update the signage out there. And I apologize to everybody. I apologize to council. That is I'm not saying that's not a priority, but there's been a lot of simultaneous priorities happening lately in that, and so it's taken me longer to get that done than I would have liked. But I have not forgotten about it. We are gonna finish with that.
Heard. Thank you, Johnny. You've got a lot going on. Thank you.
Jeff here. I just want to say this one more time because I said it earlier, but when the city built Mayor Square, they installed a dog drinking fountain in that park. As far as Depot Park, yeah, it's kind of down the street. I don't know if there's that many people walking their dogs there. I just think as far as Mayor Square and Depot Park, just leave it alone.
Yeah.
And I think the focus should be discussing more on what you want to do with the Sugar Pine situation with dogs. Either, I understand Carol's point of view, decide if you want to go, which way you want to go on that. But I think as far as Mayor Square and the Depot Park, I wouldn't even address it.
It sounds like that's the consensus of the committee, that this is something that we can revisit, throughout the summer, but we're not going to be bringing any recommendations at this time.
I think that any priority would be towards the Sugar Pine dog area. I think, Mayor Square and Depot Park, don't even bring it up again.
Fair enough. No, I mean, I can see just in this conversation, just the mention of it is like, it stirs the pot in a way that I never anticipated this issue would at this time last year, so.
Well, it's good to remember, folks, we've got an off-leash dog park now.
Yeah.
How long did you guys work
years.
for it?
Oh, yeah.
Carol, I mean, we've got it. It's a win. We've got neighborhood parks where we can walk our dogs on their leashes
Win.
without fear of recrimination or a parks person having to stop us and say you can't do that, or having to watch everybody around us to make sure nobody else is there. And so let's count our wins here and be grateful we've got them.
I completely agree with that. And that was hard fought. And I know that there's a lot of differences of opinion around that. And there are people who are not as excited about
Who are
that.
viewing everything as a win.
You're right, but I totally respect that. But I'm grateful that we have gotten to where we are at this point.
Yep.
And It's Victoria, and city council could just approve if they want it in the ordinance.
Yeah.
They could just approve Mayor Square and Depot Bay.
And it's possible that they will, you know, I mean, I, like, as I said, both Director Holton and myself, don't have a strong desire to bring this before council, but it's possible that Marley does.
Yeah.
And so if she does, then that's her decision.
She's a braver woman than me.
Right, Mr. Chair, I think Marley would
She's a
be
brave one.
very good for Marley to bring her points about the tourism and inclusion of the people that come to this town with their dogs. I think she would do a good presentation, leave the Parks and Gardens out of this one.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
I think it's important, especially in the neighborhood parks though, that we make sure and get that on leash posted.
Yes.
I do know, at least in Llewellyn Park, a lot of dogs are off leash. We've never had an incident. The neighborhood dogs, the families seem to know their dogs real well. We know them when they're walking by. But really on leash is safer for everybody, including the dog. And I'd like to see some signs posted about leashes being required.
I promise you, I'm saying this into the microphone in a recorded meeting, as the last 6 weeks for me have been very focused around personnel issues and hiring and interviews but we are getting to the point where we're on the other side of that now. And so, the next thing that is like the top of my list is getting signs updated in the parks.
Nobody doubts that you're not doing the absolute best you can, Jonah.
Thanks.
We appreciate you.
Thanks. I know that too. I know that everybody sees that, and
We do.
I appreciate you saying that, Shelley.
Anybody on Zoom have any questions or comments?
Tiffany has.
I just wanted to say that I have a question. Who is Marley? Is she a resident? Is she just a resident of Troutdale that has interest in seeing, like, who is she? Does she work for the city? Does she?
Marley, yes. So I'm sorry. Marley works for the city. She's not just a resident. Marley works in the community development department, and but her primary focus is the promotion of tourism and economic development and community events.
So if I'm relatively new here. I've only lived in Troutdale for 2 years. And I would say that as coming in and buying a house in the area and visiting, I came from across the river over in Vancouver, which such a long drive, at least for me. And we brought our dog with us because we didn't want to leave it at home by itself. And so I was met with a lot of no dog signs that I was like, whoa, does this place hate dogs? Am I moving to a city that hates dogs? So if one wanted to support her in her will to bring it to council, like, how could I just email her and say, I'd love to show you support? Or like if the residents wanted to sign a petition saying, hey, I would like to be able to have, how does that work? Can we do that? Like, what? I don't know what I'm trying to ask.
I'm not, would it be all right if I'd be comfortable giving you my email address. You can email me and I can put you in touch with Marley. How does that sound?
Yeah, I can email you. I can find your email address. I'm pretty good on the computer and stuff.
Certainly, thank you, Ms. Long. Yeah, my email is jona.jacobsen@troutdaleoregon.gov.
Okay.
Tiffany, this is Shelley. Also, the agenda items for every city council meeting are posted on the website.
Okay.
So if you were to just keep an eye on and attend that city council meeting, I'm be grateful for the support, and you would have the opportunity to address city council directly.
Okay. That sounds great. I think there was something else I wanted to say about this too, but I can't remember it right now. So I'll stop for now.
If you think of
Thank
it,
you.
include it in your email to me, so.
And
Okay,
Tiffany, I just would mention too, that city council agenda drops usually the Thursday before the Tuesday meeting. So it's just like a 5-day and then bam, you have.
I feel like this game is RNG.
okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Tiffany. Okay, ready to move on to committee concerns and initiatives, future agenda items, closing comments. I think I'll start with Carol.
Hi, sorry I'm not there. I have 101 temperature, so I didn't want to spread my germs to you all.
Appreciate that.
So, Jeff, I have a question for you. On the 21st is council interviews.
Yes.
They have me down as one of the interviewers. Were you not able to go?
Well, the chair can't be the one, wait, can they?
Yeah.
I would have been, right? Yeah, I'm not renewing my term.
But you're still the chair now.
But you're
Yes.
still the chair.
Term would be up, so it would be up to Carol, because Jeff would have to be an interviewee, so Carol would have to be the interviewer.
Oh, that's right.
Okay,
Because Jeff's term is up,
Mhm.
Carol, you have to be the person running that meeting.
okay.
Not running that meeting, but making those decisions for the
Doing the
person.
questions, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you. I think, Jonah, you're doing a great job. I am so delighted that the skate park is not going in. I am glad budget took it out of the budget because it was a headache that we were trying to figure out at the high school. It would have been a nightmare. So I'm glad that's no longer on the table. But it was a good meeting.
Carol, I appreciate your support.
Carol, that doesn't mean the skate park has been eliminated. It's just on temporary hold.
Right, but at least for another year.
Yeah,
Reynolds doesn't want it there. It is not a good thing for the kids because right now they go to the woods, they go to the dog park, and they're just gonna go right to the skate park.
Sex half-time.
Oh, you never know.
I would love to see a skate park in Troutdale. I'm not convinced that that's the best location for it myself. But in any case, it's not happening anytime soon, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Robbie, closing comments?
Nothing.
Nothing? Sherry?
Just a couple for you, Jonah. I didn't hear anything back from you when I sent the message about the hole in the trail.
I'm sorry.
I appreciate it, I know you're really busy, so that's why I'm bringing it up now. Has it been nothing addressed on it or whatever? I stuck a stick in it and.
Yeah, I apologize, that one slipped past me, and so, yeah, but we can get out and check that out tomorrow, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then obviously, one of the branches that had come down that I sent you a picture of was taken care of. The other one that's hanging down by that bench at the end,
Mhm.
that's still hanging down there, kind of caught, kind of not caught, whatever, but was that something that you guys might address or
We can
not?
try to get down there if it's too high for us to get with a pole saw, especially down there where we definitely can't get any kind of like lifts down there, then that one may, I don't know if that one would warrant like hiring an arborist to climb to take it down. But I'll go check it out. I would love to take a hike to the bottom of the canyon. I would love to get out of my office and take a hike to the bottom of the canyon and go look at those, so.
Well, definitely on the east side, you have to go down from, unless you're gonna trudge across the river.
Okay, so down from like the SP4, the little keyhole park with the trailhead that comes down on Evans? Is that the one where you go down? Okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and or at least that's the one I think, the one that's further back, so on Evans, right? That's where it's at, past your
Yeah, right
house,
next to Brenda's house. Right?
Yeah, right next to Brenda's house. Mhm.
I will go down and check that out on a Friday afternoon. Fridays are generally my day when I try to do all my parks walkthroughs and put nothing on my schedule so I can get out and go like look at everything. And
That
so-
one, that branch is so big that if it came, I mean, if you guys were to cut, I'd be more worried the kick on it might come back against you or
Oh,
something,
okay.
but I don't know, you might assess it differently.
Yeah, there's I mean, that ice storm this winter, there's a lot of straggling little hanging branches, some of them not so little.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few that we've gotten out and taken care of. There's some that are just kind of like just out of reach, but I really appreciate you letting me know about those, and I apologize for the delayed response.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was a little more concerned about the hole because if not looking, you might,
Break
and it looks like somebody tried to put some rocks in it too now,
Okay.
so. But
That's on the same trail coming down from SB4, right?
yeah,
Okay.
that's on the, after the first zag or whatever, as you're heading down. It was just right up from where your guys took the branch,
Okay.
got the branch out of the way that was sticking across the trail, but.
All right, well, yeah, I'll go take a look at it, and any amount of that stuff that we can take care of. Certainly the hole in the ground, that's easy, we don't need to climb for that, so.
Yeah, okay, all right, that's all.
All right, thank you.
Brenda, do you have any closing comments? Is your mic on, Brenda?
No. Oh, we can't hear you.
No, you're on mute still.
You just have her shake her head if she's a no.
You know what, I'll come back to it at the end, if you want. Brenda, I'm gonna come back to you. Shelley?
I don't have anything except, Jonah, really, you are doing a great job. Thank you. I really feel like with the weather turning, we're seeing a ton of people in the park. Looking forward to seeing if the indoor pickleball stadium eliminates the pickleball going on in my park at 9 a.m. on Sunday mornings.
I've been getting some calls about pickleball in Glenn Otto Park. People still are thinking about that.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, people are asking about it.
They can just think away.
Refer them to the new park.
Yeah.
The new,
The new, right, indoor facility.
I have actually. I have told them that, hey, you're gonna have an option for pickleball. I hope it's open 24 hours. Just go in there.
The problem is it's not free in Llewellyn Park.
Right.
Is, right. I just wish they would play a little later in the day.
Victoria?
thank you, Sandy, Adrian, and Tiffany for joining us, and I want to thank Jonah too. Everything looks good. I went by early morning at Imagination Station, and the sun was just coming up and shining, and it just looked beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Shelley.
Jim?
No, thank you.
Okay. Brenda? Oh, okay, yeah, all right. I'll just make a comment. Last month, I made an appointment with Jonah to go down to the parks office, just to kind of sit down and talk. We went over the budget. It's supposed to be like an hour, right? It was like 2 hours. And he showed me the whole facility, and it's a real tidy shop they got there. Very organized. I was really impressed. And it was interesting. I'm sure any of you guys want to send him an email. If he's in the office, more than happy to show you the park facility, but it's much nicer than I expected.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Thank you. And actually, I do thank you for mentioning that, because I do want to extend that invitation. Anytime anybody would like to come and see where we work, get to know the parks and facilities staff a little bit better. If anybody would like to do walkthroughs at parks and discuss any concerns or issues that you have, and that invitation is extended to you, Sandy, and to all the members of council as well. Please, I would love to have the opportunity to get to know all of you better. And so my door is always open to all of you. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you ever want to have a tour of parks. So.
Field trip.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else have any final comments before we wrap this up? All right, so hold or cancel next month's meeting, Wednesday, June 19th. 19th.
Do we have any items that we need to speak about in June?
We're going to talk about, well, no, back to the dog thing, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have to, that's, I mean, that is the only agenda item that came up in the discussion, so.
We were gonna all pick our priorities off the parks master plan for getting
Oh, that's
them
right.
done, right?
Mhm.
But I think that's probably a moot point now, I don't know.
It's not to say that there's nothing that we can do, you know, and of course, there's things that are worth talking about, and we can always talk about what can be done to improve parks or improve visitors' experience at parks. You know, I'm always happy to talk about that stuff, even if, you know, if we don't have the money to do large-scale projects this year, that's fine, but you know, I mean, I still work here, and I still am totally, you know, 100% willing to do whatever I can with the resources that we have. And so, that doesn't mean that the conversations need to stop, or, you know, about things that we would like to see happen. And so, I would like to revisit that. I mean, I know I'm not voting here, but that is something that we talked about earlier in the year, and I think that, you know, the Parks Master Plan is an important document. I think it's important that we maintain its relevance.
Do you know, well, of course you know, but I haven't made it down to Sandy Palisades lately. Did we get that path resurfaced?
That, yeah, no, we have not done that yet, but that is gonna happen. And so that was kept in the budget.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ADA compliant
Oh, no,
and it's
no.
dangerous.
And that's gonna be a huge project, and actually, we're having to change the layout because there's so many large tree roots that we can't, without removing all of those old trees, we can't put a path back in the same place that it was.
Gotcha.
And so we're gonna, the course of the path there at Sandy Palisades is inevitably gonna be a little different after the projects.
Okay.
Sandy, I know you're, you know, just to observe, but did you have any information you wanted to pass along or anything?
Nope, just good to hear everybody's conversations.
Okay, right. Do we decide if we're gonna have the June meeting, or are we gonna? Like you said, there's not too much on that agenda coming up.
I'm gonna cancel.
Everybody's pretty
I
much,
think I have my daughter coming in from Colorado, so.
And I'm out of town, I'd have to zoom in.
I could be out of town too at that time, possibly.
Do we need a motion to say, that we would meet again in, the fall? Cause normally we don't meet in the summer.
Probably July.
We have to meet in July because we have to pick
Yeah.
our new chairperson
Oh,
and
that's right, July.
welcome our new.
July's for sure.
This
Yeah.
is Shelley. I move that we cancel the June Parks Advisory Committee meeting for 2024.
This is Robbie, I second.
All in favor?
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so we will be meeting in July, and,
Tiffany has her hand up.
oh, what's that?
I think she left it
Oh,
on.
Tiffany?
No.
I had something, a quick question. I remembered what I wanted to ask. Are you guys gonna have a presence at any of the First Fridays? I know you talked about it, and I don't know, I don't, is that gonna happen?
Like having the Parks Advisory Committee have a table at First Friday? That's right, we did talk about that. Well, the first Friday is June 7th, so if anybody would like to have a table for PAC, please email. I can arrange that.
And then the other question that I had was, is there a number or an email or anything listed anywhere on the website that you can call if you're at a park and you see an issue? Like a flipped over picnic table or a garbage can that's missing a lid that you see where the lid is, you don't want to go get it, but maybe one of the workers could, or something that's happened at a park or been vandalized that we can share with you. Is there a place for us to call, or do we just call the city?
You can always call City Hall, and they will forward any concerns about parks directly to me. And so, and pretty soon here, Tiffany, you're gonna have or you already have my email, but pretty soon you're gonna have my direct contact, so.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Oh, is Brenda saying something? Brenda, you're on mute, we can't hear you.
Wasn't there a chat box you could use? Or is that, am I thinking of, the other one?
It's not on this, app, because I don't have a chat box myself.
Okay, yeah, I'm thinking of the Microsoft, whatever the other one was.
Yeah,
Well, Zoom has a chat box too but
Yeah.
for some reason,
not on ours.
it's disabled on this one.
Well, I'm sorry, Brenda, I wish we could hear you, I wanna hear what you have to say.
I
Yeah,
didn't know to put it on the screen.
And
okay,
since we are not having the meeting in June, this is your last meeting.
yeah, thank you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
4.5, almost
sharing.
5 years on committees.
Yeah, thank you
I
so
think we
much.
started the same year, didn't we?
It was January 2020. First committee, all these things we were gonna do, and then COVID hits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My younger son is taking a job in Boston, and he's gonna start the 17th of June. So the first week in June, I'm driving with him across the country,
Wow.
set up in Boston, and then spend a week or so there, gets his job started, gets his feet down and everything, and then I'm gonna fly back. So I think I would have probably missed the June meeting if it was being held. TCAB meeting's tomorrow night, it's gonna be interesting. I'll be at that. But yeah, it's amazing how time flies.
Thank you for your service.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's been,
Like I said, I'll stay in touch, I'll probably
it's
pop
been
in every now and then.
wonderful serving on this committee with you. We
Right.
appreciate you.
And one of the decisions too is the fact that my younger son, he lives in California, and I want to spend more time with him. And the next year, me and my wife are spending some time in Japan, so I was just thinking, I'm going to be gone a lot. And my terms, it was almost perfect timing, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I appreciate it, and this is a good crew here. I guess Zach didn't make it tonight, I was surprised.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But you guys, everybody here is as passionate about being on this committee, and it's in good hands.
We'll keep giving your feedback.
Yeah. I'll be around.
next dog discussion, you can pop in.
Yeah, I don't know.
You ever seen the last one? This might be Mayor Hutchinson pretty soon here, so.
All right, so I think I was just about ready to, well, did somebody make a motion to adjourn?
No.
Not yet.
Carol, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
I'll second.
Victoria seconds, all in favor?
Hi.
All opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 8:43. Thank
It's
you.
usually a unanimous one, isn't it?
Brenda, you know where I live.
Never
Let me know
heard
if you
it.
need anything.
Not once.